tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads from over 200 countries and your number one source in after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey there, Attack on Titan fans. Welcome to another episode of the AFTERBUZZ TV Recap Show.
Hashtag Angry German!
Yeah, we're back to using the original opening, I guess.
Why would we not?
Maybe because some of us like the second opening.
You've been overruled.
Not at this current table.
This is why I can't leave the panel, because all sorts of shenanigans go on when I'm not here.
I voted for hashtag Angry German because that's an awesome hashtag.
Anyway, we've got a great show for you today. Joining me on the panel today is Katie Cullen.
Hi, all my buddies.
John Quick.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Before this actually came on, we were dancing in here, but then Miss Cullen decided that I needed to settle. Just settle. I don't know why.
I think we could all dance to this.
Yes.
Have a little dance party to Angry German. Anyway, I'm sorry, Dave Klein can't be here today, but I'm your host, Megan Salinas, and we are going to be talking about episode 17. Yes!
Fly on those wings of freedom!
Victory is ours!
Steven, why did you compromise?
Hold on, wait. And here's the Dragon Force. Yes.
There we go. All right, well, we've got a great... Wait.
I think they're competing.
Are they competing? Well, actually, if you listen to the full version of the second theme, there actually is a part where they go into the melody of the first one. And that's one of the reasons why I really like the second one.
Yeah, but we're back to the first one.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on now, but we've got a great episode for you today.
And we should,
I give up.
I don't know what's going on.
Debate. All right, moving on.
Moving on, cut the music.
I'm done.
But we've got a great episode for you today. Forest of the Giant Trees, 57th Expedition Part 2, Episode 17. Basically, this is kind of more of we're on the run, especially with the female Titan gunning for everybody. So we pick up where our heroes left off last week, Jean and Armin and Reiner. And I really wish I had been here last week because that part where Reiner escapes from the female Titan is one of my absolute favorite moments of the series. So I really wish I could have been here for that. But I'm really moving on. Now that they're away from the immediate danger of the female Titan, now they're kind of stuck because they only have 2 horses.
No, they only had
one. One horse, 3 people.
And yeah, that's not enough.
Internet videos.
But basically, Jean's horse ran away, and they only have 1 horse, and that's not enough to fit 3 people.
Is dead.
On. Yeah, his horse got stepped on, I think.
Yeah.
Or kicked, or something happened.
Yeah, she's big. She likes to kick things
That
and
horse
step on
did
things.
not make it out.
No, but basically, and they're kind of in this dilemma now because they can't obviously ride out all 3 of them on the horse, and Jean's horse isn't coming back. So they're kind of throwing it out who's going to stay behind in the event that the horse doesn't come back. So they shoot off an emergency signal, kind of, hoping against hope that someone's going to see it. And
not that they're even giving it that much of a hope. Reiner's like, yeah, if it doesn't work in 3 minutes, we've
got to make a decision.
Yeah, like 3 minutes. That's a lot of waiting there, kid.
Well, and even if somebody sees the signal, there's no way to know that, based on that signal that they need to bring over an extra horse. Although I guess you could still double up, but still, there's no way to know for sure when they come back.
Not with Reiner. Basically, in almost any situation, I actually think that Reiner would probably be the guy that's left behind if they're going to save the most people, because Armin's just a little waif of a human being.
He's the best that's able to defend himself, just based on his physical prowess alone. But, there's no way to use the ODM gear. There's nothing to use it on. It's like being Spider-Man and stuck in a town where there are no, no rooftops.
It's like Spider-Man in Kansas, basically.
Basically, yeah, where it's just all flat, no skyscrapers.
Not saying that there's no cities in Kansas, all right?
No, there are. There just aren't.
They're just very tiny cities.
Very, very flat. But anyway, luckily, who should come to their rescue but Krista? And she just happened to find Jean's horse.
And she had a spare.
So she had a spare, and she comes over and is just so relieved that they're all okay. And I really, I was conflicted about this scene because on the one hand, it's hilarious to see them all looking at Krista like, she's an angel, she's a goddess, one day my wife. And it's very rare in the series that we get those moments of levity and genuine laughter.
I think at this point we really needed it because we saw a horse get kicked into the stratosphere last episode, among other things.
We'll get to see more.
Yeah.
More than
And there's a lot more destructiveness to come. But I was also a little bit suspicious when she came up. And granted, I didn't know how to feel about this, but I was a little bit suspicious because we have the female Titan obviously tearing through a lot of the forest, and who should just happen to show up miraculously with an extra horse.
With same color and similar kind of haircut.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, I was a little suspicious when she came up. But anyway, as they're going on, but these suspicions were immediately unfounded as we go on to the next scene because we see Aaron and the rest of Levi's squad, and they're seeing a lot of green smoke signals, which means that everybody's changing formation. And, you know, they have to pass along the word, but as they're doing that, they see black smoke, which is the sign of the abnormal Titan, and with word that the entire rear wing has been compromised.
Right wing.
Right. Oh, I said
wing.
rear wing, didn't I? Yeah,
Well,
you're right.
It is the right rear,
but
primarily.
It's been compromised, and they see black smoke that the abnormal is there. And so that's when we do cut to the female Titan. And this fight was spectacular, but God, was it brutal.
It was very one-sided. I'll give it that much. They were doing some clever things. Okay, there was first off, there was one guy trying to hit her with a distraction. He loaded up a black flare and fired it directly at her face, hoping to like hit her and blind her at the very least, like distract her for a moment. And you hear all of them trying to coordinate. It's like, okay, she's covering the fatal spot. Well, go for the other main places. Go for the Achilles tendon. Go for
the spinal cord.
Things to bring it down, and
Yeah.
so when it goes down, then you'll be able to attack the weak spot and kill it.
Basically, if this had been any other abnormal Titan, if it hadn't been a Titan with intelligence who knew what they were saying and knew how to plan against it, it would have gone down. These are the scouts. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's kind of the worst part of watching this is it's not just, you know, like when we were in the middle of the Trost arc where it's just cadets who don't know what they're doing, who are panicking. These are professionals and they're still getting mowed down.
Yeah, blooded veterans, basically.
Exactly. People who have survived more than most of our cadets have even seen, and they still get knocked aside. It was spectacular animation-wise, and when she jumps up in the air and just takes out several of them in one go, even they're flabbergasted because jumping Titans
don't jump.
Not very many of them, only the abnormals do. And so, they're all just flabbergasted,
They're not even, like, controlled leaps, usually. Like, because we saw the one that was jumping in Trost was basically, like, leaping around like a frog.
Yeah.
And, like, this was just, like, a normal jump. And she jumps into the air, stomps on one guy, crushes another, and then grabs the wire of one more guy. And there's just that...
Twirls them around. It's awful.
But that moment, like they're animating obvious like more emotion into the field because none of the other Titans have expressions other than blackout drunk.
It's basically
what it looked like, and you see her like she's got this guy by the string. And you almost see like she's getting vengeance.
Would it be loathing or like at the very least satisfaction in what she's doing?
Like it's like she's getting like some petty vengeance on this like ant that tried to bite her.
And no regular Titan would be vindictive enough to spin a guy around like that in front of somebody else, because not only was she obviously torturing this guy when she killed him, but she's showing off just how tiny and insignificant all of these soldiers are, these veterans, you know, compared to her might. And it's terrifying. And part of you wants to laugh because it is, you know, somebody spinning this guy around, but it's still horrible.
The other part of you is like, I really hope he died before she started.
Well, when you see him like just spinning, you know what it is, but it's like it's just so comical until they get to that like close up and they like freeze frame
and
where
he's
you
like
can
bent in half.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh yeah, that's That's what G-forces do to you.
Yeah.
And then as Darius takes off, she just flings the poor guy, off into the distance.
Oh, just
Like, and
offhandedly,
there he
like,
goes.
I don't, like, this is a non-issue now.
He just lands in the middle of the city, and people are like, what?
What just happened?
Did something just clear the wall and land in the... Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and
Check
then
and see
she...
it as a note. Maybe it's a note.
And then as Darius
Maybe
goes,
it's a
to try to warn people, she just punts him like he's nothing. And whoever this person is, they're vindictive and they're cruel. But at the same time, why is somebody this cruel who's taking this much clear glee out of killing all these soldiers, why would she spare Armin? It's just one of those things where it's like, what is going on?
He is almost the main character. And that's enough to get him spared. These
That's
other
true.
people, they're not main characters, they're toast.
But I think that it hints at something like she stops from killing Armin not because she doesn't like. Armin says that like she didn't kill me because she's only looking for Aaron and that's who she's aiming for. Well, that's very clearly like she's just killing people left and right as she goes, just kind of drunk with power. But she didn't kill Armin. Almost.
And she let them go. I mean, when Reiner escaped from her grasp, there was nothing to stop her from turning around and stepping on them anyway. But she chose to turn around and just go.
Yeah, they had one horse. Like she just took off. It almost as if she knew Armin.
Yeah, it's just something to kind of keep in the back of your mind to be suspicious about. But anyway,
Because we're not already suspicious about everything.
I know, right? But basically, more soldiers go to try to defend, to try to stop her, and we just know that every single person that's riding towards her is going to die. And it's terrifying.
And they were all just 2 weeks from retirement.
No, they signed up for this.
I know.
And that's the other frustrating part is we or not frustrating, but back in the Trust arc, people were like, I didn't sign up for this. Well, no, these are the guys that signed up to do just that, and they're still getting taken out. And it's awful.
Well, this is only the second time in the history of the war against the Titans that they fought a human-controlled Titan. The only other time was the fall of Shinganshina.
That's true, and even that was more of a retreat. Shoot cannons at it as it goes.
Yeah, that was less of a fight and more of an flailing angrily.
Yeah, more of a oh god, we're all gonna die. Anyways,
Well, this isn't good.
But we cut back to the center defense line, and there's a forest up ahead. And basically the orders now are for the center line to go up through the forest because there's a path that has been cleared by Titans just from the look of it. And so the center defense is going to go up the line, and everybody else is going to go around. And for that... again, it's one of those things where everybody's doing their best to keep formation, but given the fact that the center line is going into this forest, are people even going to be able to see whatever signals get sent out?
Well, I think it's like like as even Mikasa said, the formation is just broken.
Yeah.
But also not only that, they were told that, all right, any of us have the authority to say that the mission is a failure and basically signal the retreat, but that's not happening.
No one's done it. Nobody's spoken up.
Yeah, so there's no... Then which, after the entire right side was wiped out by this,
Thing.
This thing, which is very clearly like a mission-ending scenario, they're still going on. And then, as opposed to turning south, because they're going from the Kuranis district, which is on the east side or the west side, one of the other sides, and then they were going to be heading south to Shinganshina. They're not heading south; they're going further east. So they're even deviating from where they're, initial
Supposed to
plan.
go.
Yeah.
This mission is completely off course. Their strategy is completely gone. Their early warning system has been entirely disabled, and yet we're still going because nobody wants to be the one to say, guys, I think we're done.
I don't think that's the case. It seems as though, maybe somebody has spoken up and Erwin just isn't signaling the retreat.
That's very possible, but... Yeah, but anyway, they decide to go up the center line. And before we move on, I want to, because that's kind of where we leave with commercials. So before we move on, I want to talk to you guys really quick to you about iTunes. Folks, thank you so much for going to iTunes and leaving a comment. We read the comments that are on iTunes. We read the comments that are left on YouTube. And it warms our heart that you guys are enjoying the after show just as much as we enjoy putting it on. So thank you guys so much. I wish I had iTunes to read off to you guys, but maybe next time. But for all of you guys, keep commenting and keep rating on iTunes, because it lets our bosses know that that we put on a good show and that you like the content that we're putting on. So moving on again. Moving on again. Now they're going up the center line, and not only does it's Jean who's the one that's saying this, but not only is he kind of like, we're going on, and even though our formation is broken, we're probably going to meet up with everybody at the end of the line. Nobody in their right mind would make us stop here. And
all right, troops, stop here.
And it's just hilarious. It's like, that's such bad timing on their part.
This episode has been very good with the comedic timing, and honestly, we've needed it. Like, every time the female Titan shows up and mows down more people, you're like, I need a palate cleanser. I think I'm gonna go get a drink. Oh no, they made a joke. I'm better now. Okay, moving on.
Well, Jean is wondering like why they're stopping. Mikasa is already Mikasa's already starting to figure some stuff out. Jean's in the dark, but Armin's mind is going a mile a minute trying to figure out what exactly the whole setup was. And Armin comes to a conclusion that this whole thing was just a setup to basically lure the female Titan out. Not necessarily that Erwin knew that there was something like this, but that there was some kind of traitor.
That if something was going to come after Eren, they would do it during this mission.
Because Eren's out in the wild and could be potentially isolated.
And, not locked up in the basement of a heavily fortified base, where it's a little more difficult to get to.
Yeah, so this whole ploy is basically, going into the forest is basically to draw the female Titan out, kind of using Eren and Levi's squad as bait.
I'm just thinking of the Taco Bell commercials, the old ones when the 1998 Godzilla came out, where that little chihuahua's got the box with the taco under it, and it's here, lizard. That's all I can think of for this. We got a box with an Eren under it, and it's here, Titan.
Oh, gosh. That's kind of terrible.
Blast from the past.
I know, right? That movie was ridiculous.
It was awful.
It was, but it was
Ladies and gentlemen, this bad nostalgia bomb brought to you by the Attack on Titan AFTERBUZZ crew.
And Taco Bell.
Attack on Titan AFTERBUZZ crew, bringing back bad memories just like Taco Bell brings indigestion.
On the line.
Hi, is this Mike?
Yes, it is.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. Let's send a big thank you to Mike McFarland, the voice of Jean and the voice director for Attack on Titan. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
So far, so good. Thank you so much for calling in.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. So, just out of curiosity, how did you get involved with Attack on Titan?
I've been a voice director with Funimation in some capacity for about, 12 or 13 years. And I saw that it was one of the ones coming down the pipe, and I'd heard a lot of buzz about it, so I looked into it and found out that it was super crazy fantastic and put in a request for it. And luckily, I have a good track record with other things that I've worked on, like the Evangelion films and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and some other stuff. So they decided that it could go my way.
All fantastic things, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh no, and we've had a couple of the voice actors from this cast call into the show, and they say, and all of them have said how great it is to work with you. But you get the opportunity to work with the entire cast. What's that like?
It's fantastic. It was a daunting task initially to get everyone cast and cover all of those many roles for a show that only has 25 episodes or so, depending if you want to count that flashback episode. It's got a lot of named characters in it, and they all need a specific voice and a specific mindset and a specific way to approach the material. So I had 3 days worth of auditions, hearing someone every 10 minutes. Plus, I had a bunch of auditions emailed in from all over the country, and spent another day listening to those and sorting out selections and stuff. So, as far as working with them, it was great. Bryce and Trina and Josh and everyone else in the cast, it was such a joy to work with them. I've worked with a good handful of them before, but a lot of these folks, this was their first either major role or the first time that I had worked with them, like in the case of Bryce.
Were there any characters that were really easy to cast? Like you heard a voice and said, "This is it. I want this person to play this character." And on the flip side, were there any that you hemmed and hawed over for a while?
Yeah, I think the easiest, I would say there were two that were very easy to cast, where I'm like, oh, okay, well, of course it's going to be this person, based off of the audition. And also just upon watching the show, I'm like, I at least want to hear them audition for these roles. And that would be Michael Tatum as Erwin Smith, and Caitlin Glass as Petra Rawl.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. They fit the parts perfectly. But when was the decision for you to voice the character of Jean? When did that come about?
That came about through the casting process, through me presenting the cast of who all the selections were, et cetera, to the producers above me. And I had an audition for a couple of the other characters as well. Obviously, I can't just flat out go, hey, that one's going to be me. So that decision was made. Yeah. That decision was made by those above me.
That makes sense. But since you obviously have done a lot of voice work in the past, and you've also done a lot of voice directing, but when voicing characters yourself, when you are the director, do you require a second opinion, or because you know exactly what you want, does that make it easier to perform?
I usually know what I want, so I go in and I direct myself from inside the booth, and I basically just have a back and forth good relationship with my engineer. He or she will know when I'm throwing out an alternate take or self-fixing one of my takes, and I'll explain afterwards what it was that I would like afterwards. Take this portion and use this syllable and use that, and put it together, and let's see if it sounds nice, and if not, then I'll just create it again from the top. And then upon putting everything together, as long as it fits in fluidity, a nice fluid with everything else, then I just call it a day.
Well, that's good. And that's good that you have a good relationship with the engineers. And the members of the cast that we've gotten to talk to, all of them, they all seem like a really fun group. And I was wondering, is there any shenanigans that goes on behind the scenes, any funny booth stories?
There were a few. I mean, for the most part, as you guys know from watching the series, it's extremely heavy-handed and depressing and action-packed and bloody. So some laughter and relief was needed from time to time. Nothing really particular stands out. We would, as we were recording Aaron, Bryce and I would joke around with both of us taking turns being Armin, telling him not to do things, because that seems to be what Armin does a lot.
That's true. Go ahead.
Every so often we would throw in some other side character, imagine if Sasha would enter the scene and wants to include her in some capacity, just within canon stuff, within show stuff like that, not necessarily like having a water balloon fight in the booth or anything.
I'd imagine that would be detrimental to the equipment. That wouldn't be any good.
Yeah, detrimental to many things, probably including my job. So.
Oh no. Is there anything, just in terms of, obviously it was a hugely popular show, and I imagine that there was a lot of pressure in terms of bringing it over for the English dub. Is there anything in particular that was particularly challenging about that, or anything you wanted to do to make it distinctive from the original, to make those watching through it again just as compelled as the first time around?
Well, I always try to, when I approach a show of this type, not that all shows are the same by any stretch of the imagination, but this sort of, adventure, dark tale with a lot of action and stuff involved with it, kind of like a Full Metal Alchemist or something of that nature. I go through and I watch the entire thing in its original language 2-3 times, do some online research, and approach my casting from there. it's a combination of, does the voice sound kind of in the same ballpark as the original Seiyu? Does the voice sound like it would come out of that body shape that I see on screen? And does it fit into a large chessboard where all of the other pieces work together? There could be two people that have great voices for a character, but their voices themselves sound far too similar, and they would be confusing off screen, or if they're in a scene together of who's saying what.
Okay.
That makes sense. Well, speaking of just different characters and everything, in terms of your approach to Jean, is there anything in particular that you connect with him as a character?
As a character, I kind of connect with him on the level of he's sarcastic. I like his story arc or the story aspect of him starting off very selfish and very, having a master plan of saving his own butt in this in the scheme of things, and just seeing that there is a much higher calling and there is a much, better thing for humanity that he could be doing with his talent and with his skills. So despite his desire to not die and not risk his life, he ends up doing so.
Yeah, his character arc is one of the most relatable things about this show, because he's just a guy who's in over his head.
Yeah, if there's ever someone who would, walk into the situation and go like, no, I'm not going to do this, out of the cast, it would be him.
Just nope.
He's a little too sane for that.
Yeah. If anyone else would do it, it would be Connie or Sasha, and that would just be for comedic, Scooby-Doo type purposes.
Right. Well, obviously, there are tons and tons of really passionate fans about this show. Do you know if there, and obviously it might be a little bit too early, but do you know if there are any plans to just bring everybody, bring the whole band back together when the show comes off from a hiatus?
Well, I know everyone would be up for it. I don't know how long the hiatus is going to go for. I know that, like every series that I've worked with, even if there's a part 2 or if it's a continuing thing like One Piece or something, every time a new one comes out, brand new negotiations must happen. So, assuming that everything goes in the way that we would, that I would like, and I have opportunity to work with to work on the series again, I can't really think of any reason that anyone wouldn't want to come back.
Well, we are enjoying the show so much, even though we've all seen it before. We love what you guys are doing with the show.
Thank you so much.
Oh, no, thank you. It's fantastic. Sadly, we're running a little bit short on time, so I'm afraid we have to let you go. Is there anything you'd like to promote or anything you'd like to talk about before you go?
Let's see. I just not just directed it, but there is a feature out called HAL, H-A-L, that just came out like a week or so ago. That's from the same production company that made Attack on Titan. It's a 1-hour-long movie. And I think that it's great. And if anybody wanted to check out some new anime that, wasn't necessarily televised, that's a good one.
That's great. And where can people, we know that you and a lot of the other cast members like to live tweet, but where can people go online if they want to see that over the weekends when the show airs, or if they just want to find out more about you?
Well, let's see, all of my social media type stuff. I'm on Twitter at Mike McFarland VA. I'm on Facebook. I think there's a Mike McFarland page. It's like Mike McFarland Fans or something like that, which some of it's its own material, and a lot of it is retweets from Twitter, since I'm more active on that. I have a MikeMcFarland.com, but it's almost a dinosaur level of of a web address at this point. Those are the main places. And at MikeMcFarland.com, there is a direct email link there for me. So if you want to message me, then I can be reached through there if you don't want to try through Twitter or Facebook.
All right. Do you guys have any more questions before we let them go?
Not at the moment.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mike, for calling, and we really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. I don't know who I was waving at. You can't see me. Well, that was awesome.
But the audience can. They can see you through that camera, and that camera acts as our avatar for our
Fairly
guest.
well. But anyway, we have to hurry up and wrap it up because obviously we're running a little bit behind. So anyway, now that everybody's stopped, basically their job is to just kind of sit there and distract any Titans to keep them from coming into the forest.
Their orders are to keep them from coming in, not necessarily to kill them. So if they hang out in the trees like that, hey, the Titans will just claw at the trees. We don't have to go down there and kill them.
No,
right?
not at all. And I love Jean's just talk of like, I'm thinking about throwing a mutiny right now. I'm not going to do it right now, but I'm thinking about it.
It's kind of a little bit of an overreaction.
A little bit, but granted, you're being dangled there, in front of Titans as, bait.
Yeah, well, I understand, he's angry because, everyone's getting kept in the dark. Even, his commanding officer, because as soon as Jean, questions him, sir, what are we, those are your orders, which is military speak for, I don't know what's happening, shut up.
I don't know what's happening. So he's frustrated that obviously they're being left in the dark and that nobody seems to know what's actually going on and that they're stuck here with all these Titans clawing at them. So that's making them nervous, but they're not the only ones that are nervous because we cut back to Levi's squad and Aaron is asking questions and Levi is like, look, the best thing you can do under situations like this is keep your calm and use your brain. Look around you. These trees are perfect for ODM gear. And Aaron's sitting there going, oh my gosh, he's absolutely right. I'm still really new to this, so I don't know anything. I need to step it up and not expect to be spoon-fed. But that's when he looks around at the other members of Levi's squad and they are all terrified because none of them know what's going on either.
Again, with the really good comedic timing. It's like, I'm sure everyone else knows what they're doing. I just need to learn from them. And everyone else is like, oh God, oh God, oh God.
Yeah, because he thinks it's his inexperience talking and he's surrounded by these, these experts. And he's like, I gotta get it together. But the experts are just as lost as he is. It's kind of hilarious.
And then that fantastically beautiful and brutal moment where you see just the lone scout red shirt just slow motion flying in the air. Aaron looks back, sees him, and then just sped up in second, dead. Female Titan rounds the corner, and the female Titan is we're getting close-ups of just her eye and her face as she's staring, obviously staring at Aaron with damn near sexual desire.
She is making a beeline for him, and we don't know why. We don't know if her aim is to kill him or what, but she is just tearing through all these soldiers in the forest just to get there and just mowing people down left and right.
But that expression on her face, it's not only is it I'm about ready to accomplish, it's not I'm about ready to accomplish my mission, it's it's almost I'm about to come. It's just this intense face.
I think we could have gone the entire podcast without you saying that.
Yeah!
Because
That's exactly what it looks like! That
To
was
you?
creepy! That was creepy. It was creepy and sexual, just mistful
You're
desire.
done. You're done.
Anyway, but the point is that she's making a beeline towards Aaron, and all of Levi's squad, they're begging their commander, they're begging Levi to give them an order, and he's not saying anything. And after minutes of them just going, please give us an order, do something, he just looks back and goes, okay, and pulls up a signal, and he shoots off a flare, but we don't see what color.
And he tells them to cover their ears.
Exactly. So, and that's where the episode ends, and that's where we leave off. So we're like, well, what was that signal all about? Again, that basically wraps it up for this week. Katie, Cullen, where can the people go if they want to find out more?
You can find me on Twitter and Tumblr at Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet. I am also on the Sword Art Online and the new Z Nation panel, also on Sunday, Classic Doctor Who on Wednesday, and Ruby every other Thursday.
And you can find me at Twitter at @NowQuick.
Oh, that's it?
And that's
no more things to promote. That's right, Legend
no.
of Korra is done for right now, but
For
it's
right
coming
now,
back
coming
soon.
back October 3rd, I believe.
And you can follow Dave on Twitter at @TheDaveKlein, and you can follow me on Twitter at @TheMenguin. That's TheMenguin. I am also on the Ruby podcast, the Sword Art Online, Z Nation, Doctor Who, and Classic Who. Sometimes Doctor Who, anyway. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. We will see you guys next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AFTERBUZZTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AFTERBUZZ TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.